to our session, which started with 2 segments this morning, and we had really lively and interactive session this morning, and I hope it will continue the same way throughout the afternoon. We're moving to a different subtopic, which is not lesser interest than the 2 ones that we had this morning, and it's about the advent of AI into universities and the concern raised around how to manage this disruptive advent of the AI through policies and good governance to make it useful for to speed up the process of transformation of higher education. But without further ado, I will ask Reem to come to the stage, as she will be the moderator of this first segment this afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this important session on policy and governance frameworks for AI-enabled higher education transformation in Africa. My name is Reem A.G.E.N.D.A, and I will be your moderator for today's session. So, as we know, and around the world, artificial intelligence is changing the way we think, the way we learn, and the way we teach. So the universities, and especially African universities, are facing a challenge that is exciting and complex, which is how to use artificial intelligence to improve education while making sure it is fair, ethical, and fits the local need. And that is what this session is about. Today we will explore 3 main areas. The first one is about policy development, how to create smart, flexible rules for using AI in universities. Second, governance models, how institutions can organize themselves to use AI in a safe and responsible way. And finally, capacity building, how to prepare people and systems to work with AI, especially in places with fewer resources. So to do this, we are lucky to have 3 speakers with strong experience in these areas. We have Hiba Bou'izza to present Dr. Fatima Al-Yousfi. We have Professor Ali Ait Si Mohammed, and we have Dr. Ikram Shairi. Please welcome. So after the presentations, we will have an interactive Q&A with you, and so I invite you to listen closely and take notes and prepare some questions. So let's begin. Our first speaker is Hiba Bou'izza. Hiba Bou'izza is a policy analyst at the Strategic Planning, Governance, Policy and Risk Department at UM6B, specializing in higher education governance, policy design, and stakeholder engagement, with a background in economic analysis and public policy from the Faculty of Governance, FGSOS, and is active in youth-led climate and policy initiative. Today, she will share how UM6B develops its policies and how this approach supports long-term institutional transformation. Please, Hiba.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Reem, for the presentation. So I'm expecting the presentation to... Now?
Excusez-moi, nous n'avons pas de présentation, nous avons une présentation de Fatima.
Oui, exactement.
Exactement, ok,
oui.
Parfait. Merci.
Merci. As Reem mentioned previously, I will be covering the topic of UM6B's policy-driven approach to responsible AI integration in research and higher education. So at UM6B, the Strategic Planning, Governance, Policy and Risk Department plays a very crucial role in shaping strategic direction. Our core responsibilities include, the first one is strategic planning and analytics as the first main pillar We develop and track UM6P strategic plan and KPIs. We deliver data-driven insights and foresight. The second pillar, which is organizational risk management and liability. So we identify and mitigate institutional risks, maintain a dynamic risk profile and mitigation strategy. And the third pillar is policy development and compliance, which I will be focusing on today. So in this area or in this pillar, we ensure consistent, transparent, and inclusive policy development. We guide internal compliance with external regulations. So as I mentioned, one of our main pillars within our department is policy development and compliance. So within the policy office, we lead the development and implementation of all research-related and university-wide policies through inclusive engagement and collaborations with stakeholders from all over the university. We strengthen capacity by supporting departments and units in crafting their own policies and overseeing key aspects on policy development. And we ensure all policies follow an efficient, consistent, and transparent process, which is like the main mission of the policy office. So to do so, we follow a clear and concise policy cycle process, which is very inclusive, as I mentioned, since we consult many stakeholders. We start by the need identification. We identify the need of the departments, of our stakeholders. We then draft the policy, whether it's a research policy, a university-wide policy. Then we consult with stakeholders, like I'm giving here the example of the Research Governance Committee, which is the committee we consult for research-related policies. We gather the stakeholder impact, we do the legal review with the legal department at UM6P, and after when we have a final draft of the policy, it's approved by the president, we communicate about it, we share it with all the community, the UM6P community, of course, and then after 1 year of the implementation of any policy, whether it's a research, institutional-wide, we review it and evaluate it. Because of, or thanks to this inclusive approach that we have within the policy office, we achieved some key milestones. As you can see here, we have implemented 11 research policies and 16 strategic policies. We worked with more than 23 internal departments within UM6P. We established what we called UM6P Policy Administration Program, and we created also a website, a website for the policies. And also, we not only develop the policies, but we organize awareness events on research, ethics, and integrity. And one of our major focus area is responsible, as I mentioned, AI integration in research. And we recognize, of course, the importance and the transformative potential of AI, but also the risks of using it. To address this, we have organized many awareness events. Whether online, we have monthly events for our research community on different topics, but we focused mainly on AI use in research. We organized an event, an in-person event in April, which was about AI in research hype or hope, where we have many speakers from UM6P and experts in AI from UM6P and from outside. And also we have implemented AI guidelines in research, how our research community can use AI in research. So to conclude, at UM6P, we view policy as a strategic tool, not only just for governance, but for empowering research and education. And thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Hiba, for showing us how inclusivity can build strong policies. Now we will have our next speaker, Dr. Ali Aitsi Mohammed, Associate Professor and Coordinator of the PhD program at the Institute of Education Sciences at UM6P. Dr. Ali previously held academic positions in the United States and Central Asia. He earned his PhD in Comparative and International Higher Education from SUNY Buffalo, USA. His expertise spans leadership roles such as Interim Dean, Program Director, and Research Director. He has taught extensively in master's and PhD programs, focusing on research methods, education policy, and evaluation. Dr. A.G.E.N.D.A Mohammed has supervised over 100 master's theses and 30 doctoral dissertations and had published more than 40 peer-reviewed articles and book chapters in Q1 and Q2 journals. His research explores education and higher education across the USA, North Africa, Europe, and Central Asia. In addition to his Fulbright Scholar in Sweden experience, he has served as a consultant for the World Bank and collaborated with institutions such as Cambridge University and the University of Pennsylvania, UPenn. He has also led several national and international research projects as principal investigator over his close to 20-year academic career. Today, he will share findings from a study that explores the state of research on higher education governance in Morocco and how this knowledge can inform better institutional models. Please, Doctor.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I would like to talk about the topic on higher education governance in Morocco, evaluating the state knowledge. With me in this paper, this is actually a research paper that we are writing. In this paper, it's myself and Dr. Rita Kasha, who is an associate professor in the Institute of Education Sciences, Abdullah An, who is an affiliate professor, full professor, with us also at the Institute of Education Sciences, Apollinaire Tony Kolo from Cameroon, who is a PhD student with us in the Institute, Rim Ruby, who is also a PhD student with us. The quick outline of this paper that we started in this paper, I'll try to give you an overview of the Moroccan higher education system. I'll talk a little bit about the research aim, the methods, the results, and the discussion and the findings that we have so far. So to kind of not bore you with the higher education system in Morocco, because we have to stay here for a long time if I have to explain this to you, I wanted to say that the Ministry of Higher Education, Scientific Research and Innovation is supervising all the types of higher education systems that we have in Morocco. We have public higher education, we have public-private partnership higher education, and then we have private higher education in Morocco. All these trends are supervised by the Ministry of Higher Education, Scientific Research and Innovation. In terms of evolution of higher education governance in Morocco, we have a very interesting trend, which we're going to start only from 1999. That's after the National Charter of Education and Training in Morocco, more specifically with the legal law of 0100, which grants universities legal personality and autonomy. Then another reform that started in 2008 with digital governance integration with a system called COBIT, as well as Simaresh, which was a system of digital governance introduced by one of Moroccan universities, and it had a good reputation around the ministry as well. Then we have the emergency plan of 2008-2012, then an organic finance law. Both of these, the aim of them is performance funding or performance outcome funding for universities. Then we have what's called the Pact ISRI, which is a roadmap for 2030, which the aim of it is to think about institutionalizing performance monitoring and strategic planning. As of 2015, there is a lot of decentralization that already started with universities in Morocco, but the regionalization is a new trend which is being actually piloted right now in Morocco for the vision of 2015-2030 in reform of higher education, in which the head of the region sits in the Council of Higher Education as well as the other members. This is for Morocco. Internationally, if we think in terms of education governance, we normally always think about 5 pillars: the actors, the processes, the structure, the governance logic, and the educational outcomes. These are normally the 5 that we need to think about when we are thinking in terms of governance and when we are doing research in this area. Let's see what we can find about Morocco in this. So the aim of this research is to map the states of research on higher education governance in Morocco. And the method we used is basically a semi-systematic review. And the whole point is to track the evolution of the articles which discuss governance over time. So that's going to be our data. So our data comes from different databases. As a team that I told you earlier, we actually created the formula in the search string that you see here. And that's what we created in order to look for the information that we need. And using that, we found, as you can see in this Prisma flow diagram that we are using, we found 178 articles from different types of databases like Scopus, Google, etc. In the right side on top, we have Google search in which we actually found some additional data. Then we got to 191 articles. We excluded duplicates, and we got to 171 articles with, again, different systems that we used. We used something called inclusion and exclusion criteria. So the inclusion criteria means we focus only on higher education, university and non-university. And then exclusion criteria, we focus on excluding any comparative articles. They are not part of our data. We exclude anything that's not empirical, meaning we want only empirical articles, and we excluded anything that's before 1999, because as I said earlier, we need to focus on anything that's after 1999 so we can focus on the Charter for National Education and Training reforms. So with all that, we ended up with 47 articles. Again, with the duplicates and comparative studies, we ended up with 35 articles. So 35 articles is our data. In those articles, we did a qualitative analysis in order to identify 4 themes. So the first theme is digital transformation and information systems governance. The second theme that we found through those 35 articles is governance reform and policy challenges. The third one is stakeholder participation. And the fourth one is quality assurance and performance management. The interesting thing, if you look at this chart here, these 4 themes, you will notice that 60% of articles that we found that treated governance in higher education in Morocco, they are under digital transformation and information system governance, meaning a lot of people do research on these things in Morocco. In addition to that, that team actually has different mixed methods: quantitative, qualitative, policy analysis, and everything else. That's not happening with the other 3 teams that we have there. Most of those teams, we have 17% of publications under governance reform. For stakeholder, we have 9%. And quality assurance and performance management, we have 14%. Keep in mind, if you actually look at the research on higher education governance internationally, you will find a lot of research under the 3rd theme, which is stakeholder participation. Okay. So the other interesting result that we found is, if you look again at the theme 1, digital transformation and information systems governance, you will see that most of this research, that 60% that I told you earlier, it's actually published in engineering and scientific journals, not in education journals. And the other 3 themes, they are published in education journals. This is a very interesting also result that we found. It's quite surprising. The third finding that we have is most papers on governance of higher education that were sent to international conferences, most of those that actually accepted in those conferences are digital transformation and information systems governance in Morocco. So this tells us that there is less research in stakeholder participation and other things, and there is less research in those 5 pillars of governance of higher education that we know internationally. Now, in terms of our discussion and conclusions, what we found out is that digital information and information system governance, they are published in technical journals, and engineering and IT focus, as I said, quality assurance and performance management. Normally, most of the journals in that area, they are only qualitative research. There is no quantitative research done there. Governance reform and policy challenges, we have a lot of focus on failures, not any balance between what worked and what didn't work. So people, when they write about governance reforms and policy challenges in Morocco, they focus always on the failures and more qualitative research. So there isn't a lot of quantitative research. Knowing that, a lot of research actually internationally, again, it's a mixed method. And then stakeholder participation, there is less research in this area, and this is actually the area that's known for research in governance of higher education internationally. Okay, so our conclusions or our recommendations would be that we would like to see some balance of technical and policy research to integrate policy analysis with qualitative technical insights, and a little more quantitative research on this left side. And then we would like to see or address reform implementation gap more than focusing on research design only. In this case, we would use a lot of what's called qualitative case studies to understand technical reform failures. And we would like to see also empirical evaluation of quality assurance, meaning journals that enhance policy insights through, research that enhances policy insights through quantitative performance metrics with some qualitative analysis as well, so we can get to the stakeholders to understand their insight or their points of view. And then we would like to also expand stakeholder research participation research in Morocco and employ quantitative methods to broaden technical stakeholder dynamics. So thank you so much. So this is a paper on the way, and thank you so much for listening to me. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
So thank you, Dr. Ali, for highlighting the importance of understanding how governance works across institutions and national systems. Now our final speaker is Professor Ikram Shaeri, Assistant Professor at UM6P's College of Computing. Her research interests focus on data analysis and machine learning, especially in the development of new algorithms of training able to overcome the limitation of data in terms of quality and quantity. She first obtained an engineering degree in statistics and data warehousing in 2010, and then she got a PhD in machine learning and data analysis in 2014 from University Abdelmalik Sadi. In 2015, she was among the 2 persons from North Africa selected for an Erasmus Mundus postdoctoral research stay at GIAA, Laboratory of Applied Artificial Intelligence at University Carlos III of Madrid, and participated developing intelligent conversational agents for the railway company Renfe. She is currently collaborating with ORC, a research group at MIT, to deploy AI models for medical applications at Hartford Hospital. She led different applied research projects with industrial partners and was involved in the organization of different scientific events aiming to leverage AI in African continents like A.A.M.E.D. Africa and NESMA. In her presentation, she will explore how AI is transforming teaching, learning, and research, and what this means for the role of educators and the future of higher education. Please, Dr. Ikram.
I'm a short person, so this is not working for me. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really glad to be here and to share with you a little bit what a professor in machine learning is seeing this transformation of AI on the educational level. So I think everyone knows that we are witnessing a transformation in this age where AI is knocking the doors of many fields. We find AI in the field of agriculture, in healthcare, culture, governance, and for sure in the educational area also. So what I would like to share with you today through this presentation is to drive you through three main transformation. So we're going to talk about the pedagogical transformation that we are all feeling and witnessing today. Also, we're going to talk about the changes that AI is bringing to us in the research level. And then I'm going to share with you some let's say, real-world impact projects that I had the chance to participate on it. I think in some before it was important before starting talking about AI to define AI. So having this kind of slide was important, so you can define what is AI. And I feel more and more that the public has already his own idea about AI. So no need to really define what is AI, but just to mention that AI is not only what we are seeing now, but actually it's more general than this, because having an artificial intelligence technology means that we are creating a technology that tries to mimic the human in a certain level. Okay, so now we started to have some things like ChatGPT that is able to have a conversation with us, but actually what researchers in this field are aiming for is to create an intelligence that is able to mimic decisions of a human all over different and across different fields. So for the first transformation, which is the pedagogical transformation, let me start with something that probably the public here are aware about, but let me start to talk about it, which is Bloom's to Sigma problem. And this Bloom's to Sigma problem is actually a research that was made in the early centuries by Professor Bloom that is showing the curves that we are seeing here. This is a normal distribution. The orange one is a distribution of performance of students without any tutoring, I mean in the classical way to teaching in a classroom. And then what he was trying to do is that he experimented applying a specific tutoring system on every student, and he found that the performance is switched by 2 sigma. Sigma is the standard deviation. So what we are trying to say here is that if we are able to have a system that is able to tutor every student, we are able to scale up the level of the whole class. But as you see, it's called problem, and it is a problem in the time that this was found, because the problem is economically not possible to have a specific tutoring system for every person that tried to learn something. So that was a problem. And today, when I see this transformation that we are witnessing with AI, when I see the students that are able to reach out some resources, to ask questions to ChatGPT, to use some platforms to learn coding or other skills, it seems like I'm not gonna say in an optimistic way, it's not anymore a problem, but it's a way to approach a little bit to this model of having a tutor for everyone. So I'm kind of seeing this transformation of AI a very good thing in the way that it's given to our students and to given to any learner a sort of a virtual tutor that is available and can give a specific a way to help the learner to go on his specific and adjusted in his specific parts of learning, which is a sort of not really possible with the human teacher and especially in a large scale of classes. So this is the first intuition that we got when we see how AI is trying to enter to our classrooms, and this is a very good transformation in order that it's adapted to every specific learner. So what we can find, what we can have through this transformation is having a sort of tailored content depending on the way of learning is able to learn. Sorry, can I come back? And also the automatization of certain tasks, which is something that we are not mentioning a lot, but actually through learning, we have a lot of tasks, like, for example, giving feedback to students, which cannot be realistically possible at a certain level. We can have office hours and many possibilities, but we still be a human. So having a teaching assistant, a sort of AI that is able to take in consideration your course and give a real-time feedback to your students. For me personally, I see it as a real and a huge transformation in our educational system. And also, we should not forget that AI is allowing accessibility. I'm giving you here some screenshots of tools that is transforming or describing the content of an image for people that are not able to see. Those tools that help some students to take notes if they have some problems in the motricity and are not able to take notes. So we can see that this transformation is allowing a bigger accessibility of materials to our students. So now we see this transformation and we know, yeah, we have this transformation. This is great. But what is happening to a teacher, I mean a professor or a teacher? What is happening to our role? So what we have to actually take a moment and ask ourselves, okay, now that we have this, we should be adaptive. We should adapt ourselves to this new way of teaching. So I'm saying here that we redefine the role of a teacher, and the teacher is not anymore the one who is transmitting the information, because now the students are able to get the information, and I've got some cases, and I guess a lot of you, for students that are able to get some resources from internet and they come back to the class and they are discussing with you, and this is great because we are scaling up, because I'm not the only one, the teacher is not anymore the one who getting the information and try to transmit it, but it's having another role. What is this role actually? The role actually is that sorry, I should come back. The role actually is that the teacher should help the students to use better these tools. And how is going to be this? This is going to be by interacting with the students and increasing the time of person interaction and discussing the content that the student is able to find through an AI, which is in the learning approach much more better than you are just giving the student information and trying to see what's going to happen next. What this means also for us is that that means an adaptation of the professors in this era in the way of evaluating the knowledge. So traditionally, we just do a test and we see what is happening, but now, and maybe here I'm biased because I'm speaking specifically for my case when I'm teaching engineers in computer science, and we have tools like Copilot that is able to program, so the students are not seeing anymore what is the interest to really code, as the Copilot can code for me. So what we should do as teachers is to adapt our way to evaluate the knowledge, because I don't want to create students that are able to create code, but I need a brain, a human brain, that is able to see the code and to optimize the code and to have a critical mindset of this code. So for example, an adaptation can be to give to the student a code generated by an AI and ask them to make it better and find what is not working or find errors and so on. So this is another way to adapt education to this era of AI. Okay, I'm gonna switch to the research. I think everyone knows what is the circle of research. We start by an ideation. We do research on the level of literature review, and we collect, we design, we collect the data, we analyze, we evaluate, we share, and then we storage and manage. And today, in this era of AI, the AI actually is able to intervene on every single step of a research project. And this is actually very important because Hiba mentioned that we had this day where we discussed if AI hype or a hope, and it was more focused on the research. And today, every PhD student is using those tools that is helping the students to go through this steps. And we should know that having this new technology in every step is scaling up the research rather than trying to block it. But what is important, again, is that we have a lot of tools. So here I mentioned the new one, Google Co-Scientist, where you can do the ideation with the co-scientist, and ChatGPT and Perplexity and so on, so on. This is important. Those are tools that are really, really helpful in the research area. But what is more important is that you know how to work with it. Because as you don't know how AI is working, you know that you are dealing with a model, you are dealing with a mathematical model. So you should have this critical mindset and to verify the results and to make sure that hallucination is always happening. So this is really, really important, and I think we should teach our PhD students to have this critical mindset when they see any results generated by AI, and also to have this reflex to disseminate and to talk about what they have do exactly with AI, so that other researchers are able to reproduce the same result. One last thing about research is that the AI allowed us to have intersections between some fields. For example, computer science and, well, I'm saying AI or computer science, and for example, medicine or chemistry, where we see some startups or we see some products like in silico that is able to do a lot of experiments and simulation in order to find medicaments in a really short time, rather than taking many years to have a confirmed medicine. Okay, so let's switch to the last part where we ask our question, and especially in our African university, we ask ourselves, okay, how can we move these researchers that we are doing on AI, or AI in general, from the labs to the real world? And actually, after seeing and benchmarking and seeing a lot of models, it seems like we need there is a trio that should be respected here. The first one is the academia that gives the training and the knowledge that is important to have. And from the other side, we have the industry and the economy that give us the problems and the real world problems that we are facing. And the third pillar is the public sector, where we need this pillar in order to define rules, because elsewhere there is a lot of policy problem, ethical problems that can happen through this collaboration. Some concrete quick examples that I can share with you is our collaboration with the ministry and HealthAfrik in the framework of compact program that was led by Millennium Challenge Agency of US government, where we developed an AI platform in order to get KPIs of labor market, Moroccan labor market, just from scrapping websites like Recruit or other websites. So in this project, we had a collaboration with a lot of different people that came in from different backgrounds, and we were able to make a concrete solution where we work with AI and we work with engineering and government, and it was a really great experience. The second one is the one that Hiba mentioned, and it's still a work that's part of it, where we are actually now implementing machine learning with doctors. I had the chance to collaborate with cardiologists and to create models where we are concretely applying it, and that was possible because there was a lot of regulation that was protecting the both university and the lab of the research. And I think this is really fundamental because the both sides are confident they can go ahead, they can share data, and we can do a lot of brilliant things. So I think that's it. Yeah, so my final one is some project that was a first possibility with OCP and CIRES, which is PortMed, is the company that is managing the port of Tangier, where we were able to develop things, but it wasn't really possible to go further because of some governance problems. So thank you for this time, and I hope it was interesting.
So thank you, Dr. Ikram, for this inspiring presentation and for affirming that artificial intelligence is changing the way it's not just a simple tool, but it's changing the way we learn, we teach, and we do research. Thank you for Dr. and Professor Ali Aitsi Mohammed. Thank you, Hiba Bouazza. So now we move to the Q&A session. So this is your chance to ask questions or reflection on what was presented. So if you have any question.
Yeah, just to get the ball rolling, as they say, on some of these topics. Thank you very much. Actually, it was very comprehensive between all the three presentations. I would like just to pick up on the last presentation from Ikram on the AI. Out of my ignorance, basically, because we're all by now using one or the other of the chatbots, or the ChatGPT, or DeepSeek, whatever. But when we talk about how AI is going to reshape higher education, for you as a specialist, what is your understanding why? Are we? I mean, you showed some applications that are applied, but what's behind all that? I don't know if my question is clear, because for the public, when we use ChatGPT, chatbots, we say AI, but I guess that's just the apparent side of the iceberg. So when we're talking about research and coding and all that, what's happening behind? Yeah?
Yes, thank you for your question, Dr. Sarish. I actually, as you mentioned, the part of the iceberg that everyone is seeing is a cool tool that we are using so that it appears like a human. And we had some stories where people are like prompting, please ChatGPT, can you tell me, and are you happy, tell me. Yeah, so it's a bit normal because it's getting like confusing the way that the conversation is happening. So what is behind? Behind, as I mentioned, it's a mathematical model that is trained on a lot of data. So we should, when I mention a lot of data, that means that there is a lot of collected data from internet, your data, maybe some personal things, maybe available things that was trained on those models. And one should be a bit vigilant when it's dealing with those technology, and especially when it's open source, because once we are talking about something is open source, that means that in the other side, they are collecting the data. So the one should be aware about what kind of data we are feeding these machines, because if you are feeding the data, and especially for researchers when they are working on sensitive data or something that should not be shared, it's really, really dangerous to share it like this. And what is good is to use a closed one, like for example at UM6P, when you use a closed one, and it's still, those are models that are trained on data, and for me that means a lot. I mean, it's taking every movement of you on the web or anything is an important information that is collected and used to train more the models. I hope I responded to your question, Professor.
I have another question.
Sorry, a second question to Ikram. You demonstrated a use case for education purposes, for teaching of AI. I think you showed us some, but is there a use from your recent experience in UM6P? Is there a possibility for use in the business processes of the university? You know, the first presentation was about making policies, governance, you know, quality standards, things like that. Is there a use for that particular, you know, side of the story of a university, not science, but
yes, I mean, you mean in the policy or law in general, a lot of initiatives was trying to train a big LLM that is like specialized in laws and policies, and is able to generate for you a sort of ethical guideline or specific guidelines depending on what you are trying to create. So in my little knowledge, this is really possible, and I know a lot of researchers working on that and concretely working with companies to create their own tools that gonna help them to go through contracts and to negotiate better, or to create policies, and this is all really possible. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a brilliant presentation there on AI. I just wanted to find, oh, sorry about that. I just wanted to find out something quickly. Currently, the way we are set up as institutions, we have ICT departments. And secondly, you know, we have maybe certain areas that we treat as projects. What is your opinion around the role of ICT going forward, given this dynamic change on IR and virtual reality, do you see it as something that should form part of the ICT department and changing its role completely? Or are you seeing it as a project that institutions should be leading in a different way as a project for you to achieve this? Thank you.
I think I'll try this question. I think the question is about the whole strategy for ICT in institutions. I think my answer to the question is, I don't think we have a choice right now with technology generally. I think what we need to do is to start creating different infrastructures and governance, like Hiba said and you said earlier. I think we need to start creating the platforms and governance policies for how we are going to control and conduct these kinds of activities. And I wanted to let you know that some of those that are created at UMCSP, and this is also answering the second, adding to the second question that we got earlier, is that we created a platform that's very interesting right now at UMCSP, which is the Center for Teaching Excellence. And what we've been doing through this center is trying to train professors who come from different types of specialties in pedagogy and evaluation in the classroom and so forth. But I think this is also a very interesting platform for advancing different pedagogies of using AI and other types of activities, digital activities and technological activities.
Thank you.
Okay, so I would also want to find out, underneath the models that actually drive the use of AI are assumptions in developing such models. I want to know, because there is a school of thought that a lot of these assumptions are skewed towards secret or some private interest. I would like to know how some of these things are factored in how we push for AI use in our higher education institutions.
I'm not sure I got the question personally. If you could just rephrase the question, that would be great.
Okay, so most of these AIs have models, and then these models underneath are assumptions in terms of the mathematical models. So I would like to know that if there are assumptions that are skewed towards a particular interest other than what we see or use for the outputs, how are we able to manage or even identify them in the first place so we don't forcefully go to benefit somebody's agenda against what we want to do?
I can probably give some element of response. So the typicity of machine learning models, contrary to the traditional mathematical models like our simple regression, for example, you take the assumption you should have normal distribution and blah, 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 blah. In a data-driven models like machine learning, for example, you have a neural network where you don't have a specific assumptions on distribution or the data. But what is important is that you should know that the kind of the data where you are gonna train your model on, it's gonna generate a more endless the same things that are happening in this data. So what we should and be always keep in mind when we are developing AI is that at least the data that we are feeding on the model should be an ethical one, a fair one, a very representative one. So those are very important, because elsewhere, if you train a model on a biased data, you're gonna get a biased model. And I think there is some articles that were published in this way, where it's now maybe 10 years ago, where people started to say, oh, AI is very bad, look what is happening. But actually the data was not good. If you feed bad data, you're gonna get a very biased model. It's a sort of a kid that you teach a specific rules. I hope I responded a little bit on your question. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. My question is to Ikram. When you said definitely we need we need to transform or change our way of teaching, and our role, and this is what probably I will not agree with you, said our role would be just to show students how to use AI for different purposes. So probably that could be for computer sciences, for stuff like that, but for life science, I think the teacher will still have a big role to play. Of course, in explaining mechanism, in doing a lot of practical stuff, learning by doing, because that's what I would say 50% of the teaching should be practical. Otherwise, if we rely on PowerPoint stuff, I don't think that, to me, that's useful. So in my opinion, at least 50% should be practical, and practical AI will not do it. So the teacher will have to play a big role in that. So depending on the areas, yes, probably in your area, the teacher will be really showing the student how really to navigate, I would say, with AI systems. But for life science, that's a different ballgame, I would say. Thank you.
So yeah, I thank you for mentioning this, because this is a point where we got always this reaction, and actually the transformation is going to happen to all the fields. That's true that we at the level of computer science, maybe fields, we are feeling it more, as I gave the example of coding. But actually when as I mentioned, I'm now working with doctors implementing models. So the new maybe generation of the new students of medicine gonna be doctors that gonna use AI. So it's gonna be a sort of a twist or a switch, and I'm 100% with you, because there is some fields where you need the practical to practice. You need to do some labs and to do stuff, and this is really where I see the good point of having AI, in the way where you have some institutions that cannot afford to do practice to the students. I came from a university where chemical students were suffering to not be able to do labs because the substance were too expensive, or sometimes the teacher need to do the experiment and the students should look at it, because if the students do a bad manipulation, it costs a lot of money, and there is some institutions that cannot afford this for the students. So it's true that practicing things is the best thing to do, but let's see the case in some African where in the majority of African universities, it's not possible to afford this to all the students. And AI is now able to do a sort of simulation, a simulation for those students, where they can imagine that they are applying this and that, and the AI is interacting with them using those generative models, and able to generate the real results on a real time. So this is where I see the little contribution, not little, but has a big impact in some context. But yeah, for sure, never AI will replace a real-world application.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ikram. Our session comes to an end. Thank you to our speakers for their deep insights. Thank you for the audience for their engagement, and see you in the next session.
I will ask you to just join me and give another round of applause to these excellent speakers and this excellent session, please. Thank you. We're going to stay on this inward look within the university in terms of processes and business, moving from policies, governance, and the like, to switching a little bit to the critical importance of certification and of quality assurance, and one seeking academic excellence beyond just for reasons of compliance. And for that, I will call upon our friend and colleague, Salah Al-Majid, who is the moderator of this session. Salah Al-Majid is the Dean of School of Science and Engineering at University Al-A.G.E.N.D.A.
A very good afternoon. Hello, everyone. I'm Salah, Dean of Science and Engineering from Al-A.G.E.N.D.A. University. If you haven't heard about it, it's far a bit on the mountain. It's a lovely space and place. So it's a pleasure to be here talking to you about few things related to academia, but most likely we'll talk about quality assurance and how these important into setting the scene for a better teaching and learning within institutions. Talking about Africa, the continent as a whole, talking about mobility, talking about faculty exchange, that need to be well established within a frame, a good foundation called quality assurance to a degree that our graduates will have it all over. I'm pleased to call colleagues and friends in here who will be telling stories, successful stories about what's happening at UM6P from a perspective of quality assurance. My good friend and colleague, Dr. Ali, please join me in here, as well as Dr. Dunya, please join us. Maybe sharing a little bit about Dr. Ali. He's the lead of Institution of Science and Education. Welcome, sir. Head of Center of Teaching Excellence, as well, head of a quality office here at UM6P. Dr. Dunya, also a quality assurance project manager, in which she's in charge of accreditation, or different project of accreditation. Maybe because of quick time, we will jump to your presentation, sir, and then we will talk about that. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here this afternoon. Thank you, Professor Salah, for your introduction. So my name is Ali Bouhabid, and I'm at UM6P Academic Quality Office and also Institute of Education Sciences. And with my colleague Dunya Sqali, we are representing the Academic Quality Office that we are developing at UM6P. And as we're going to present this afternoon, quality assurance is very important in higher education to provide first, a framework where programs can grow and thrive, and where students can feel confident for the quality of the education that they are receiving. So we're going to share with you the experience of the Quality Assurance Office that we have initiated at UM6P, the framework that we are developing, and also some projects that we have initiated in the past year. So UM6P is a young university rooted in the African continent and open to the world. And it's also an emerging research hub that aims to solve real-world challenges, mainly African challenges. And its strategic mission is built on three main pillars: excellence in education and research, innovation for transformation, and a societal impact for sustainable development. So Basically, in terms of quality assurance, we have witnessed an evolution from the rigid control, compliant, focused type of quality assurance programs in higher education to more proactive quality assurance model with the looking forward approach and value-driven type of model. And in terms of basically driving excellence in higher education, quality assurance aligns perfectly in these goals to transform higher education that generates knowledge, but also drive change and serve our communities, our societies, to be more relevant, more innovative, and trusted by the stakeholders. In terms of quality assurance in higher education, the global trends and statistics that we have witnessed recently, basically implementing a quality culture in a higher education institution is very important because it achieves a commitment from the stakeholders for quality enhancement, continuous improvement, and accountability at all levels. To achieve this, it involves embedding quality in daily practices of the members of the higher education institution, empowering staff and students to take ownership of the quality, but also building trust, communication, and collaboration across the institution. And as I mentioned, basically in terms of evolution of the quality assurance in higher education, we have seen a shift from audit and compliance-focused type of approach to a more capacity-building, student-centered approach, internal quality assurance systems put in place, trying to benchmark with international frameworks, and finally, at the end of this journey, we can try to achieve global accreditation that in a certain way recognize the work done by a higher education institution to achieve basically a global recognition of the quality of the programs that they offer. Some data about quality assurance, again, worldwide. For those who are familiar with science and technology programs, the A.B.E.T. organization provides accreditation for science and technology programs. And there are about 4,500 programs worldwide, about a quarter of them outside the US, in 40+ countries that have obtained accreditation by the A.B.E.T. organization. In terms of business schools, the AACSB organization has provided accreditation to more than 950 business schools across 60+ countries. The French organization for engineering accreditation called CTI is also involved in many accreditation programs, mainly in Francophone Africa. And basically, all these institutions are seeking global recognition and achieving a benchmark with peer international institutions. And obviously, by achieving this type of recognition, it can facilitate mobility of students or researchers. Another important aspect of quality assurance evolution is that it becomes as everything data-driven, and use of quality tools are very important to facilitate the work of stakeholders involved in managing quality assurance, using quality assurance dashboards, analytics tools, and automated processes can facilitate the work of collecting data to evaluate the learning outcomes and other indicators that basically helps to address the gaps and move for a continuous improvement process that helps to achieve the goals of the programs. So in terms of Morocco, we have a national framework that is led by the National Agency of Evaluation and Quality Assurance, ANIAC. So the ANIAC is an agency that was founded in 2014 under the Ministry of Higher Education. And the mission of the agency is to accredit any higher education program, whether it's a public or private institution. And then after the initial accreditation, it evaluates their programs to provide them with reaccreditation. It helps also to ensure alignment with the national standards and promote a culture of continuous improvement. This notion of continuous improvement obviously is something that we see with all different type of organization that provide certification or accreditation. It's at the heart of quality assurance. So this is something that really is key in the culture of quality assurance in higher education. The 5 key domains of the National Agency, Moroccan National Agency of Evaluation and Quality Assurance are the governance and support function management, the education and training, the programs of the institution, the scientific research, the student support and campus life, and finally, the service to the society from the higher education institution. So these are the 5 key domains that the framework put in place by the National Agency of Quality Assurance has proposed and that higher education institution has to comply with. In terms of basically quality assurance landscape in Morocco, beside the ANIAC and its framework, there is an increasing adoption of international standards by many higher education institutions in Morocco. We can cite the case of our colleague from Al-Hawain University that have accredited their engineering programs and computing programs through the A.B.E.T. Standard. There are also higher education institutions that have adopted the French CTI accreditation, or others have also applied the European accreditation framework, the ERACE label. In terms of business schools, some also business schools in Morocco have applied and obtained the AACSB accreditation. And finally, ISO 21000 is a new certification for higher education institutions. And there are, I think, no higher education institutions yet. I was checking with my colleague Dunia, who is tracking this. And this is one of the initiatives that we will mention later in our project of implementing quality assurance at UM6P. All these basically accreditation or certification emphasize on learning outcomes, student learning outcome, on student-centered teaching approach and quality approach. And for all of them, there is we can see that there is a shift from control and compliance type of quality assurance model to a more capacity building and quality culture model. So for our own quality assurance framework that we are proposing at UM6P, first we have basically structured the Academic Quality Office to help support the journey of UM6P in achieving excellence in education. So there is a dedicated office now that leads the implementation of the culture of quality and foster continuous improvement across all department and teaching units. We have also worked with most of our teaching units to have a quality assurance focal person that will be working with our team to coordinate and work on different initiatives based on their needs and their specific programs. And basically, the Quality Assurance Office is here to support programs and departments in their journey toward excellence in education. And then in terms of the quality assurance framework that we are proposing, basically it's aimed to harmonize quality assurance practices across all programs and schools and provide a coherent institutional framework to ensure, manage, and continuously improve the quality of education and student services at our university. So, of course, it is based on the National Agency of Evaluation and Quality Assurance framework that is the baseline for all programs in higher education in Morocco, and then we'll adopt some of the European standard and guideline to achieve a coherent model that will help develop and achieve higher quality, excellence in our educational program, sorry. So it is also based on the AGRI model, approach, deployment, result, and improvement, which is well known in the quality assurance in general. It proposed also 8 pillars to achieve this overall framework. Obviously, governance and policies are the foundation of any initiative. And then the design of programs needs to be based on the program educational objectives, the governance of the programs, and the involvement of boards such as the industry advisory boards that can serve as input for the needs of the market, the future employers, that can help programs to be updated on all the trends that we can see in a given market or countries. And then the teaching and assessment are, of course, a key component of any quality assurance program in higher education. We need to define assessment to evaluate the course learning outcomes that are specific to any course in a given program. Teaching needs to be student-centered, student-focused. And then the other aspect of the quality assurance framework is related to the student support services, like student admission, learning support, staff development, learning resources. And at the heart of any quality assurance program, as I mentioned before, the continuous improvement process is very important, is key to continue to improve and achieve the objective of excellence. Just some quick words about several initiatives that we have launched at the Academic Quality Assurance Office at UM6P. So we have embarked in a project of an A.B.E.T. accreditation for one of our engineering programs, ISO 21001, AACSB at the Business School of UM6P, Africa Business School, and then just recently with our language department, the equals certification. So quickly, the A.B.E.T. accreditation basically, as I mentioned earlier, is an international accreditation for programs in the field of science and technology. And basically, it helps to achieve excellence in the engineering educational program or science and technology programs. In our case, we have initiated this project with the computer science engineering program. And the approach to achieve this A.B.E.T. accreditation is basically to define all the learning process through outcome-based that are mapped with the A.B.E.T. criteria. The A.B.E.T. criteria are 8, starting from students, how we manage student journey in the program educational objectives that are defined with the input of the industry advisory board and the faculty members of the program. Student outcomes are student outcomes related to the type of commission that will accredit the program, whether it's an engineering accreditation commission or computing accreditation commission. Continuous improvement is very important to demonstrate that the program is continuously improving based on the data from the student outcomes and the decision of the team of faculty members that are managing the program. Curriculum that basically defines the program of study, and that should be, of course, updated based on the trends and needs of the market. Faculty qualifications and facilities of the school and the institution. Institutional supports conclude these 8 criteria of A.B.E.T. Another project that we have initiated, which is a more systematic approach to educational quality, is the ISO 21001 certification. This certification has been developed by ISO in 2018. It is similar to the 9001 certification for business. This one is focused on higher education institution. As we mentioned earlier, there are no higher education institutions in Morocco that have achieved yet the ISO 21001. As I said, it's a new accreditation, but this framework of the ISO 21001 helps to structure, organize the entire governance and management of a given educational program. So it helps to basically have a more coherent, scalable quality system across the university, involve the engagement of stakeholders, and align with global educational standards. And basically, at the end, it helps to have an international recognition of the quality of the structure that delivers a given program. So this is basically just a few words about ISO 21001. The next initiative that was launched also at UM6P is an initiative led by the Africa Business School of UM6P to obtain the AACSB accreditation. So this is specific to business programs, business and management program. And they have launched this initiative in 2024. So it's a new basically journey toward this accreditation, and they are all aligned with the same goal of achieving excellence in our educational programs. And finally, the last quality assurance project that we have just started recently is the Equals certification. It's a certification that is specific to English language instruction institution, whether they are within a university or outside the university. So this also helps to structure the management of our language department to achieve a high standard in terms of the quality of the programs that they offer. So basically, as we can summarize, is that quality assurance helps to embed in the operation of a given institution the continuous improvement mindset. At the end, we can achieve international recognition when we meet the basically quality assurance requirements for an international organization, whether it's a certification or an accreditation. It helps also our graduates to achieve a better employability by basically showing that they are graduates from an institution that has an international accreditation or certification of their program. Students' confidence, of course, is increased. The fact that we work with these international frameworks helps to benchmark how we conduct our operation and try to achieve excellence through this project. In terms of the institution at large, it helps also the institution to grow and meet these international standards of institutional support to our students. And finally, by having this type of accreditation, it increased the confidence of funding institutions to provide potential grants for the research department, or also mobility to students who can pursue their education in other higher education institutions. So to conclude my presentation, at UM6P, we believe that quality assurance is not just a compliance tool, but it's the foundation that connects our ambition with an impact. When quality assurance is implemented as a strategic institution-wide system, when it is student-centered, outcome-based, and data-informed, it naturally leads to alignment with national and international frameworks. And thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a lot of keywords, but one of the things that I believe when I start my academic career was a quality assurance, something complicated and annoying, but it's not. Maybe I should remind my colleagues around the table here that academia is a bridge. The ultimate goal of it to secure employability, secure career for our graduates. But that career, it's either go industry or academia. It always provide trustworthy degree. And to make sure that trustworthy degree for our graduates, it's well framed, then quality assurance is the basic, is the foundation. And of course, the threshold that institutions are seeking to have that lovely stamp on the degree. So from that concept, if I would link, you mentioned A.G.E.N.D.A University. A.G.E.N.D.A started 30 years ago, accredited institutionally, as well as per program, really open up for our graduate to travel everywhere, to have exchange with different institutions internationally, and will brought to us a lot of trust, values, and that. So, but it's a journey started well ages ago, but we want to through challenge. I want you to share with us, if possible, these challenges that you are facing today, and make things smoother in framing having the quality assurance framework, please.
Yes, thank you. So yes, indeed, for any initiative, we face challenges. So as I mentioned, the UM6P is a very young university. And with the computer science engineering program that we are helping achieve, for example, the A.B.E.T accreditation, colleagues are discovering this type of journey toward the accreditation. The curriculum has to be designed in a certain way to meet the requirement of A.B.E.T, for example, with a specific number of math, science hours, discipline-related hours that we need to meet, and so on. So, of course, in Morocco, we have a specific framework for our engineering programs, so we need to be creative to make sure that the French-Moroccan engineering curriculum meets this international framework of the A.B.E.T accreditation. So these are challenges, but they are, of course, achievable to overcome. One thing that we have also implemented at UM6P is the Center for Teaching Excellence that I mentioned in a previous presentation yesterday. And the center is here to help our colleagues to adopt this mindset of student-centered teaching, of outcome-based education, and that aligns with all the different frameworks of international certification or international accreditation. Basically, it helps improve the learning process of our students, and this type of accreditation basically helps to recognize all the hard work that all the stakeholders have to do to achieve this goal.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I presume audience have a few questions. Any challenge you have faced in your institution? No? No challenge? It sounds either you have a good quality assurance framework or you are going through.
Program manager that helps implement all these initiatives, and she's doing a great job. I wanted just to add maybe the audience has a question, that the notion of quality assurance obviously has started in the industry 30, 40 years ago, even more, in Japan, and then in the US, and then of course in Europe and other countries in the world. So quality assurance, as you know, in the industry is at the heart of your decision to buy or not a product. Obviously, education is not a product, but parents are looking for institutions that deliver high quality education. And higher education institutions saw this trend and addressed it by developing this different certification or accreditation to basically inform whether the government, the employers, the parents, that a given institution is delivering educational program at the highest standard that we can find worldwide. So I think it's a very important approach that we need to adopt to achieve what we all hope to achieve, excellence in education and employability of our graduates.
Absolutely. I would add into this the mobility, for example. When we're talking about mobility and make a use of different good institutions in the continent, we easy do that kind of matching in programs, easy to look at the courses and the credit behind the courses whenever you have a similar framework of quality assurance. And how is it challenging if it's not aligned? I can fully agree with you with that. But let's see if there are any question. If not, maybe we'll... Yeah, here we are. We have a question here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation on quality assurance and accreditation. My quick question is related more to the fact that accreditation agencies like A.G.E.N.D.A, for example, they have their own standards, and the standards are, they usually equate very well, they align very well with universities that have been here for a long time because they work a lot on making sure that what those standards are can be aligned with the university is doing. I was wondering, Ali and Dunya, if you are facing this challenge of the fact that UMCSP is a new institution and A.G.E.N.D.A as an international agency, you know, with its own standards. Is there any challenge there for meeting those standards, or is there a need for a self-evaluation before we get engaged with the accreditation with A.G.E.N.D.A, for example, for engineering? And that applies to other ones that you mentioned, Dr. Babi. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So, in fact, the main challenge that we face is not, I guess, due to the fact that our university is a young university, but more due to the fact that we have adopted in Morocco the French model or the European model of higher education framework in terms of type of bachelor degree, master's degree, and doctoral programs. And A.G.E.N.D.A obviously is an American nonprofit organization that has been developing accreditation for American degrees mainly. And so that's the main challenge, to align our degrees outcomes with the American type of programs, Bachelor of Science mainly. For our colleagues of A.G.E.N.D.A, since they are the only higher education institution in Morocco that have adopted the American model of Bachelor of Science degree, Bachelor of Art degree, and so on, I will say that maybe the challenge was easier a certain way because they already adopted the American model in terms of educational program. The challenge of implementing and achieving the A.G.E.N.D.A expectation and meeting the criteria is still, of course, a challenge for anyone, but it was a little bit facilitated by the fact that they had already the program that was basically aligned with the A.G.E.N.D.A accreditation. So we have of course, some homework to do and, you know, map the engineering programs that are designed after the French program that we have in Morocco with the American model, but it's certainly doable.
Let me just add a little bit. I think the task just make it easier to start with the fresh, to build solid from day one. And I would congratulate you, Dr. Ali, and colleagues who are working with your office, and to start the mission as early as possible. Because when you have the time to establish your programs without alignment with the international standardization, the challenge and difficulty is harder than you start from day one. And this is what we would like to do together. So we are sharing experience and exchanging all kind of knowledge to make sure that your journey is smoother than ours. Thank you. If you want to add something. Any more questions around? All right. I think it's also our time is end up, and I thank you both, Dr. Ali and Dr. Dunya, for this, and thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
very much. And this brings our session to an end. And thank you very much for attending, and have a good stay in Rabat and good continuation of the program throughout the conference. Thank you.